This video features a comprehensive airline review of the Virgin Australia medium-haul business class product from one of the world's most isolated cities to the hustle and bustle of Melbourne. We are going to be taking a look at the food, amenities, customer service and the Virgin Australia Lounge here at Perth. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and a very special welcome to my ongoing supporters. Regardless of where you have ventured from, if you want to know more about the airlines that you fly on, subscribe to my channel as well as follow my work on TikTok and Instagram. Our day begins here at Perth with an extremely busy domestic terminal, busiest airport in Australia if not possibly the world. Now, I was trying to use the self-check-in kiosk at Perth, but I wasn't exactly sure why it didn't show my final destination. Not a worry in the world though, as an extremely helpful Virgin Australia staff member came and helped me check in for my flight this morning. Now, Perth Airport has just finished its morning rush hour, so the pre-launch formalities took me about 5 minutes from check-in to getting to the lounge. The Virgin Australia Lounge here in Perth is a modern lounge with an extremely refreshing appearance. It's got a sophisticated interior with a range of comfortable seating options. Now, this lounge predominantly sports a red and wooden finish similar to its other hubs in Melbourne and Sydney. The lounge also has a range of excellent barista-made coffee and hot food options. On the fancier end of the spectrum, we've got not one but 3 different types of water. I actually have no idea what the difference between chilled and ambient water is, but I guess having access to 3 different types of water is one of the perks that business class passengers pay for. Now, I enjoyed the lounge for about 1 hour up until the entire West Coast Eagles and their entourage walked in. Now, interestingly enough, they were flying to play against the Gold Coast that very weekend, and we all know how that ended. Now, I know a couple of you wanted me to interact with them, but I've got an airline review to make. I must say that it is quite nice. I like the very modern and sleek finish it's got. I should also add that it's extremely quiet, almost eerily quiet. There's the staff here and then there's like 3 other guests, and it's quite a nice lounge. I prefer it more than the Sydney one, but I'm not sure if it compares well against the Melbourne lounge. What I will add here is that they've got charging ports in the middle, but if you want to like get a good view of the apron over there's no charging ports, so you either choose between charging your phone or being an av geek. That being said, decent selection of food so far. I'm quite satisfied. Now, imagine if you're sitting in the lounge living your best life and then you hear an announcement saying that your aircraft was in the final stages of boarding. That was the only announcement that they made. I have to apologize to all my viewers that unfortunately I didn't have any time to check out the showers or show you what they look like. It was a mad dash to the gate. Now, I should point out that one of the privileges that you pay for in business class is to board before everyone else. I mean, how else are they going to know that you're better than them? And Virgin had deprived me of this. Victor Hotel Yankee Foxtrot Zulu is the operating aircraft today. This plane arrived from Adelaide last night. Now, a typical 737-800 flight would normally have 4 operational crew, but our flight today is getting line checked, so there'll be 5 crew instead. Line checking is an operational procedure by the airline where they usually make sure that staff are following the right protocol and safety procedure. It's nothing super complicated, and it just means that they have to carry 1 additional crew member. Hi, how are you?
Once again, a final boarding call for all remaining guests traveling to Melbourne, flight VA684. The time for full boarding at deck 37A.
Yeah, okay, Daddy.
Welcome to seat 1A, the very first seat in business class. It's got a foldable tray table, an in-seat charging port, an adjustable headrest, and plenty of legroom. Despite this being their second leg for the day, the crew didn't appear tired at all. In fact, on the contrary, they were extremely chatty and enjoyed getting to know the passengers. A short while after I sat down, the cabin manager asked me if I wanted a welcome drink. Now, there's usually a couple of options that they keep on rotation depending on what time of the day you're flying, but this afternoon it's orange juice or water. I feel like now is as good a time as any for a history lesson about Virgin Australia. So, the airline actually started as Virgin Blue in 2000. Virgin was actually able to fill that void that Ansett had created after its collapse. After Ansett's collapse, Virgin grew almost exponentially and went a little bit beyond being the LCC that it was initially envisioned to be. The airline eventually grew and acquired more fleet, but then in 2011, the airline decided to rebrand as Virgin Australia and dropped the phrase Blue from their name. Virgin from this time, right up until the pandemic, even deployed wide-body aircraft like the A330 and 777s to a range of long-haul flights departing to Hong Kong and LAX. Then in 2020, the pandemic hit and grounded the entire airline. Severe financial woes meant that the airline had to enter voluntary administration. However, Bain Capital came to the rescue in August of the same year, retired the wide-body aircraft, and thus the brand that we have today. Now, Virgin's branding still has its grounding primarily in Australia with a handful of international destinations. I don't really know if they'll end up with their wide-body aircraft ever again, and there's staff who I talk to really don't think we'll get those days back. But there's some silver lining in this, since Virgin's presence in the market can help keep fares somewhat reasonable. Presently, the airline flies to about 35 destinations covering all Australian states and a few destinations in Asia and the Pacific. The first thing that we're looking at today is the Inflight Entertainment system. It's got a selection of good TV shows and music. You can access this from your personal device by connecting to the Virgin Wi-Fi. I do like the fact that they recommend which ones to watch based off your flight duration. So perhaps don't commit to an entire series if you're flying from Sydney to Brisbane. The lavatory was in a good condition. There's only one in business class that 8 passengers share. Inside you'll find soap dispensers equipped fully, coat hooks, clean mirrors, and overall just a good product. And now we move on to the meal. Today for lunch we have an option of either lemon-infused chicken or roast vegetable medley brown rice with chicken, which can be vegetarian if you choose not to have the chicken. The entree is a side of hummus with pita bread followed by the main course. They also offer you some cheese and crackers and a chocolate cake for dessert. I enjoyed today's meal thoroughly. It was quite filling and also a pretty healthy meal. I also like the fact that you're able to take the chicken away from this option if you're a vegetarian. I probably should add that this is one of the few sectors that Virgin operates where you will get a dessert in business class. But overall, excellent catering and excellent service. Guys, so I've just finished the main course. Quite tasty. I'm now going to try what should have been the entree, so I should have actually tried this first. It's alright. I'm not gonna call my dad and tell him about this because it's fairly average, but it's okay. It's not amazing, but it does the job, which is to be an appetizer. They've also served us this cake for dessert, which I'm pretty keen to try out. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I also got a glass of orange juice. Oh, that's actually quite good. I might ask for another one. And cheese and crackers. Now, the chocolate cake was honestly the highlight of this entire meal for me. It was extremely tasty, extremely rich, and overall top-notch in quality. My favorite thing about the flight today was the cabin crew. They baked some cookies for each other, but when I was passing the galley, the line checker insisted that I have some, and then we got into a deep and meaningful conversation about Virgin Australia. They were in such a fantastic mood. Nothing was ever too much trouble for them. They even offered me plenty of snacks. While this might be a regular flight for a lot of the passengers, I hardly ever do a Perth sector, so getting to meet such a fantastic team on board made it so much more memorable, honestly. We actually chatted right up until the descent, and I overheard the crew member telling her colleague, "That That was a fun flight, and she was not wrong at all. I had such a good time on board. As we track closer to Melbourne, let's conclude our flight today. The top scorers for this flight today were the cabin crew and ground handling team. I feel like much work needs to be done in terms of aircraft maintenance, not particularly because the planes were by any means dirty, but Virgin planes just tend to show their age a fair bit. Food-wise, while the main course was fantastic, the appetizer could have been improved a lot more. Now, the comprehensive and total score for this flight will be posted at the end of this video, with Virgin scored across 5 categories, each carrying 5 points. As always, thank you for watching, support my work on TikTok and Instagram, and please subscribe to my channel to encourage me to deliver more content for you in the future. All of these avenues absolutely free of charge, and I will never ask you for a cent to access any of my videos. That's all for now. Have a very pleasant day and safe travels wherever you're headed.